Well, hello there, tankers of the Blitz universe. I'm Flossie, and today I will be going over the recent balance changes that will be coming out in the upcoming Season 5, which should be dropping in about a month's time. So, yeah, Wargaming is giving us a sneak peek of what all of these changes are going to be. And I'm going to be honest, a lot of these are looking pretty cringe, and just very weird in general. A lot of the tanks don't seem to really need changes, and yet Wargaming is changing them. As you can see here, this is kind of their reasoning behind the changes. First off, they're trying to change the meta and overall gameplay. They're trying to reduce turbo battles, decrease the prevalence of auto-loading tanks at tier 10, and they're trying to reduce their survivability of tank destroyers against medium and light tanks. So, honestly, we'll see how well they actually do at doing those things that they're trying to accomplish. But before we do get into this video of crazy balance changes, guys, everyone in this video or who's watching this video should be subscribed to my channel. We're almost at 5,000 subs, and if we can hit that maybe by early September, that would be absolutely incredible. Anyways, sit back, relax, and enjoy this longer than normal video on all of these balance changes. This is, of course, the first time I am seeing all of these changes, so it's kind of my first impressions of them. Yeah, so let's break right into them. And starting off with the Germans. For some reason, they're not going in order, but oh well. Germans first. So we have the mouse. Its reload time is getting better. Okay. Don't really know why the mouse needs more DPM, but alright. And it seems to be getting worse dispersion when the turret, so basically on movement dispersion or while rotating the turret, is getting worse. So overall, I mean, the mouse getting more DPM and worse accuracy is not exactly what it needs. I don't think the mouse personally needs anything right now, but that's just me. The KPZ-50 Tutton seems to be getting worse penetration and better aim time. So I think that's overall just a straight up buff for the tank because it's not losing a ton of pen. It's losing like 8 millimeters on its premium shells. So that's not a whole lot. And it's getting quite a bit better aim time. So in my opinion, that's a buff to the tank. I think the KPZ is going to be pretty strong. It's already pretty strong. So anyways, it's just going to basically stay the same way. In terms of how good it is, in my opinion. The grill seems to be getting buffed pretty much everywhere in terms of its mobility as well as its reload. It's getting a 0.3 second reload decrease. So it's getting a buff to its reload, buff to its rotation speed and power to weight, as well as its max speed. So, in my opinion, I don't really think the grill needs a mobility buff per se. I think it needs a buff to its camo rating because the camo rating on the grill compared to other TDs that are bigger than it is kind of sad. Thing needs more camo for what it is, or more alpha damage. Those are the two changes in my opinion. But anyways, moving on to the VK90, the aim time is getting better. The rotation speed on its turret is getting, well, it's getting worse. It's going from 20 to 18, and its turret scatter factor of the gun when the turret is rotated is getting also worse. So basically, it seems to be losing some of its rotation speed on the turret as well as its accuracy while moving the turret around. I don't know why they're calling it scatter factor of the gun, bro. Can they not just make it a simpler word to read? Anyways, that's the VK90. Not much is really changing to it besides its aim time and obviously the other two I just mentioned. Now, the VK72 seems to be getting a very hefty nerf. I don't really understand why. The tank is in a good spot right now, in my personal opinion, and doing this isn't really helping or changing the meta in any way. It's just making a tank that's fine worse. Doesn't make much sense to me, but anyways, it's getting worse pen. Slightly, not going to really change much, but it's getting a full second added to its reload, which is going to really kill its DPM. DPM of this tank is already crap, and now they're just making it a ton worse, as well as they're reducing the scatter factor of the gun when the turret is rotated by 0.1. Wow, what a change that is. Anyways, VK72 is probably not going to be very good after the update, so if you're in the middle of grinding this line, maybe think about not doing that. Anyways, first set of changes out of the way, let's get on to the last part of the German tank changes for tier 10. So the Leo, It's basically getting a nerf overall. Its HP is going down, its reload time is getting worse, its power to weight is getting worse, its rotation speed is getting worse, its gun turn limit, don't really understand what that is, but okay, maybe that's its gun depression. Getting worse. Reverse speed is getting better, though. Ooh, 2 kilometers an hour faster in reverse, as well as it's getting gear oil, so probably another 4 kilometers an hour. I don't understand why they're making the Leopard, like, this much faster, but, like, removing the main thing that's good about it, which is its DPM. Yeah, and adaptive concealment. Wow, that's cool. Thanks for putting that on the Leo Wargaming. That's really gonna help it out. The E50M is going to be one of the most overpowered tanks in the entire game after this update. I don't understand why they're buffing it so much, because the tank is already crazy good. It has way too much armor for what it is, in my opinion, and its DPM is also really decent. So, obviously, you know what? Let's make its DPM better, as well as let's give it more armor. Yes, because, you know, the tank needs more armor when it already is a tricky pen for pretty much every medium tank when it's all down. As well as the reactive armor consumable is going to be added to it. So yeah, don't worry. Now you're going to be able to outbrawl pretty much every single medium tank in the entire tier. Yeah, and shell speed. Oh, what a big nerf. Oh no. Yeah, I don't really understand these changes to the E50M at all. But, oh well, I guess. It is what it is. Anyways, the E100 is getting a penetration nerf, it seems. It's getting an alpha nerf as well. This is, of course, the 152mm gun. It's getting a, well, a scatter factor of the gun when rotated, whatever that means. Sure, that's getting changed slightly. Its reload time on the 128mm is getting buffed by 2 seconds. That's going to be insane. The 128mm is basically the mouse gun, for any of you who don't know what that gun is. It's the stock gun. And it's getting more penetration, way better aim time, like literally almost a second better on its aim time. I don't really know what to say. The E100 might actually be better with its stock gun after the update. I'm gonna have to test that out, because that's going to be absolutely insane. Its power to weight is going up for some reason. The tank is already pretty mobile for what it is, and the hull traverse is slightly getting reduced, or hull rotation speed with the 152mm, which makes sense because it's a heavier gun. In terms of the Jagdpanzer 100, its HP is getting nerfed, basically back down to what it was. Its aim time is getting nerfed as well as its reload is getting nerfed by a pretty decent amount. However, its armor is getting buffed on the superstructure. So, honestly, in my opinion, it's not really going to change too much. The Jag is already pretty inaccurate, so making it worse on its aim time, it's not going to change a whole lot. And you're basically just giving it more armor, so it is what it is. Oh well. But yeah, those E50M changes are really stupid. Anyways, let's move on to the Japanese tech trees here, starting off with the STB. Now, this thing has needed a nerf for a while here. So looking at it now, it has a reload nerf, so its DPM is going down. Its shell speed is going down. I mean, who cares? Its power to weight is also getting worse, but its max speed is getting better. So it's going to be a little bit faster. It's going to have less DPM, but its overall gameplay style, in my personal opinion, is not really going to change. They're not really touching the armor on it, so I think it's still going to be usable. But they are nerfing the DPM slightly on it, which is good. So, taking a look at the Hori next. Oh boy. Shell speed, that's a good nerf right there, or a buff right there, yeah, so basically they're giving it more shell velocity. It's sometimes hard to tell if these are nerfs or buffs. Like, they should make, like, one side green, the other side red. That would help a lot when it comes to reading these. But anyways, its reload time is getting better, so it's getting more DPM for some reason. It's getting slightly worse rotation speed, so its hull traverse speed is getting worse, which is understandable, honestly. I think it's a little bit too fast right now, and I think that's going to be okay. So overall, I mean, I think the Hori is going to be it's basically going to stay the same. Honestly, its DPM is going to get slightly better, which is not really going to change too much, especially because you're a TD, and half the time people are just going to focus you out the second you poke. But it is what it is. Anyways, Moving on to the Type 71 changes, they are, in fact, increasing the reload, so it's getting worse DPM. They are changing the gold shell alpha, so basically it's going to be like an STB, where the gold shells, so basically it's not going to lose as much damage as it normally would. So you're basically not going to get punished for loading gold shells in this tank, which is just really annoying. I don't know why they're doing that. And they're also, for whatever reason, increasing its penetration, even though it already has some of the best penetration for any tier 10 heavy. Don't know why, but again, this is just the basically the run of pointless changes here from Wargaming. I don't really know what 80% of these are supposed to do. Yeah. Let's move on to the American tanks here. And the M48 Patton is getting reactive armor. Yeah, the tank definitely needed reactive armor as well. It definitely needed gear oil. My brain's dying right now at some of these changes. Like, why are you giving this tank reactive armor? Why are you giving it gear oil? How is that supposed to help with any of these statements above? Like, changing the meta, sure, it's definitely changing the meta, all right. I don't know how it's going to reduce turbo battles or whatever this other stuff is, but I don't know, man. Don't worry, though. Its reload is getting worse. So it's basically getting less DPM, but it's going to be harder to kill. So it doesn't really matter that it's getting less DPM. Because reactive armor is just really stupid on a tank like this. And it's not losing any of its turret armor, which is already one of the best hull-down turrets in all of Tier 10. So, yeah, I don't really understand those changes. The M60, it's getting improved engine power boost for some reason. So basically super speed boost. I'm not really going to use that on the M60. It's getting sandbags, so it's going to have more HP than the M48 Patton. It's getting a slightly worse reload, not as bad as the M48 Patton's reload nerf, and it's getting slightly worse shell velocity. So overall, I mean, I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to differentiate the M60 from the M48 Patton even more, but I feel like there's way better ways of doing that. And honestly, giving the M48 Patton reactive armor is not that great. But anyways, T57 Heavy, they are once again nerfing this tank by basically removing some of its rotation speed. It's going from 33 to 30, removing or basically making its aim time worse, and they're making or changing its max forward speed. They're giving it a slight buff on its reverse speed, which is good. The reverse speed on this tank is absolutely awful, but I mean, a 1 km/h reverse speed buff is not going to do much. And as for the Sheridan, its penetration is getting better on its standard shells, I believe. The alpha damage is also getting higher. I don't really understand that, because the Sheridan's main characteristic of it being super, super strong is the fact that it has high alpha damage. So giving it more of that is basically making the tank stronger overall. Its max speed is getting better as well, so this thing's going to be even more mobile. It's getting a slightly worse scatter factor of the gun when the turret is rotated. I hate what they're doing with the sentence right here. Just call it like on move dispersion, man. Like, that's what it is pretty much. And power to weight ratio is getting slightly worse. It's not going to change all that much, considering its top speed is going to be better. So yeah, that's the first part of the American changes. Pretty weird, I'm not going to lie. I don't really understand why they're just chucking consumables around left, right, and center. But anyways, moving on to the second half of the American changes here. Or changes at 2 out of 3. Apparently there's more after this. Yeah, okay. So the Concept 1B is getting a better reload, so it's getting more DPM, and this second change doesn't matter at all. Again, on movement dispersion, oh well, or turret rotation dispersion. I don't really understand it, but anyways, it's getting slightly worse, I guess. But yeah, basically the main change with the Concept is it's getting more DPM. And honestly, that's just going to make the tank even stronger. They're not really changing or nerfing anything about it. Again, they're just giving it more DPM. So, cool. I mean, I'll take it. The E4 is getting nerfed. I mean, honestly, the E4 is pretty strong right now. I don't think these are really the right nerfs. Like, power to weight going down, that's not going to do much. Its rotation speed is not going to do much. And its view range. Ah, yes, you're nerfing the view range on a tank destroyer that already doesn't have view range. That doesn't make sense. but you're buffing its aim time. Actually, they're basically just buffing the E4 now that I look at it, because they're giving it sandbags, so it's going to have more HP, and they're basically giving it more aim time while taking away stuff that doesn't matter. Okay. So I take that back. E4 actually seems to be getting a buff. The XM66F is getting a aim time increase by 0.1 seconds. Ooh, it's really going to suck after that. Oh boy. It is actually getting a big nerf, though. Oh my god. Why are they giving this tank APCR standard? Ay, man. I hate APCR standard, which means I'm probably going to enjoy the XM a lot less. However, they are buffing its reload by a little bit, so yeah, I guess it's getting slightly better DPM. But APCR standard sucks, dude. I don't know why they're giving it to that tank, but oh well. The T110E3 is getting a rotation speed nerf. Oh my god, by a lot, actually. By 4. That's a pretty big nerf. Okay. It's view range. Wait, view range speed. Why are they calling it view range speed? Interesting. Oh well. It's getting better by 10. So they're basically taking the view range from the E4 and giving it to the E3, which makes absolutely zero sense. They're just tossing numbers around. That makes no sense whatsoever. Its reload time is getting slightly better. Not going to do a whole lot. And its penetration on the gold shells is getting better as well, which is actually going to be pretty nice. I mean, it's only 5 millimeters, so you're not really going to notice it. But again, it's a nice enough buff, I guess. In terms of the Yo here, this is the 120 millimeters, so the 2-shot gun. The aim time is getting quite a bit worse, actually, going from 4.6 to 5.4 seconds. Oh boy. So it's going to be a lot more inaccurate there in terms of its aim time, or it's going to be, basically, it means you have to sit in the open longer to fully aim in your shots and get your max dispersion going. The aim time of the 105 millimeter, the triple shotgun, is also getting quite a bit worse. So overall, the Yo is getting a nerf, which in my opinion is a good thing, because this tank is really strong right now. And personally, these are okay changes to the Yo, in my opinion. I don't really care about it. Max speed is getting better, though, and its armor is getting slightly, or actually quite a bit worse on its upper plate. Wow, okay. Going from 175 to 160. So yeah, the Yo is going to be a lot more of a squishy tank, and it's going to basically be easier to kill because it's going to have to sit in the open to aim in more of the time. So honestly, that's a good change in my opinion. I don't know what you guys think of it, but let me know down below what you think of this change and all of the others, of course. So the E6, its power to weight is getting, oh my gosh, it's getting a lot worse. Why are they killing the E6's mobility? Interesting. Okay, its rotation speed is getting better, though. Okay. And its armor profile seems to be getting better on the hatch. So its hatch is going to be basically what the E4's hatch is right now. So it's going to be very troll to pen. But that power to weight nerf is really going to hurt this tank, especially if you're trying to get out of sticky situations that you get yourself in, like on medium side. A lot of mediums are just going to be able to outchase you now. That's pretty sad, honestly. I like the way the E6 is balanced out right now. I don't think they need to be doing this, but it is what it is. Anyways, now we are taking a look at the next set of changes that were released yesterday at 8 a.m. So these are, of course, the French balance changes. And first off, we have the 30B, which is getting Spall Liner. That'll be an interesting one for the 30B because this thing is actually really easy to HE. So that's kind of good that they're giving it to it, but at the same time, it just doesn't really make too much sense. Like, it's a medium tank with Spall Liner. I don't really understand it. I thought that was supposed to be for, like, super lightly armored tanks. This thing still can't get HE'd frontally by the majority of people, so I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, it's a buff in and of itself. It's also getting Reticle Cali, which is okay, I guess. It doesn't really need it, but okay. Its power to weight is getting worse, and its reload time is getting worse once again. So they're basically bringing the 30B back to its pretty terrible state in terms of its DPM from previous updates. But then saying, ah, yes, let's balance that out by giving it more provisions, like Spall Liner and Reticle Cali. Ah, that's a good change, Wargaming. Again, they're just sort of throwing around consumables left, right, and center and just putting them on random tanks to see what happens. In terms of the 50B here, its aim time is getting quite a bit worse. and its penetration seems to be literally staying the same besides its HE pen. So, I mean, who cares about the pen if it's only on the HE? Anyways, that aim time is going to make the thing harder to use. Once again, I mean, I think the 50B is already a difficult tank to use, but, I mean, not going to be too much of a terrible change, I guess. It's okay, whatever. The M449 here, the Tier 10 AMX, is getting a reload buff. So it's getting more DPM, it's getting its reactive armor back. This thing used to have reactive armor, they took it away, and now they're saying, oh yes, let's give it reactive armor once again. Again, with the random consumable changes. I don't understand it. And the armor is actually getting 10 millimeters stronger on its upper plate. So it's going to make it better hull down, and it's going to be harder to pen on flat ground as well. So I guess that's a good change there. Overall, the AMX is getting a pretty decent buff. The Batchat, so second round of French changes here. The Batchat is getting a reload time nerf. It's getting a on-movement dispersion nerf slightly, I guess. Again, I don't really understand this factor here. Someone's going to probably explain it to me in the comments, and I'm probably going to be wrong about what I'm calling it, but oh well, I'm kind of going to ignore it, honestly. The main shell type on the 105 millimeters, so that's the triple shot, is going from AP to APCR, which is very unfortunate for the Batchat. I hate APCR. I'm probably going to say it a bunch more in this video, but I hate APCR. Especially on the standard shells. I don't really care about it on premium. But anyways, the aim time is getting better, though, on the 4-shot gun. Ooh, what a change that is. It's getting slightly better. And on the 100 millimeter as well, it's getting a better interclip. And it's getting its view range nerfed, which is very, very good. That's one thing that I don't think the Batchat should have had to begin with, which was the most view range. So yeah, honestly, overall, I think that's good that they're nerfing the tank. And they're also nerfing the upper plate. Oh, I didn't notice that until just now. That's actually huge. They're nerfing it by 10 millimeters. That's going to be a good change. So honestly, I'm happy with the Batchat nerfs overall. I mean, they could have done a slightly better job of it. Maybe nerfed its alpha a bit. I don't know. But honestly, it's still going to be playable. It's just going to be a little bit more balanced, which I think is good. Now, the tank you probably all have been wanting me to see is up next. The Foch 155. What are they doing to it? Well, it looks like they are actually changing its alpha damage. I wonder who's been saying they should be doing that for ages now. I wonder if it's a certain person called Flossie. I wonder if that person was recommending they just change its alpha back to 560. Well, it's a good change. I'm actually really looking forward to that. And they are, in fact, buffing the alpha on the single shot as well, which I don't think it really needs an alpha buff on the single shot. I think the single shot is really good as it is. But, I mean, more alpha is more alpha. It's also getting even more reverse speed. Oh my gosh. Yes, dude. The Foch is literally getting all the changes so far that I want it to have. More reverse speed and higher alpha. It doesn't look like they're removing its tungsten either, so this thing might be insanely strong after the update. I might have to make a, like, 7th Foch video, guys. I'm sorry, but it might have to happen. The reload time is also getting worse, obviously, on the 155 as it's getting more alpha. So, in my opinion, I'm pretty sure the DPM is staying the same, which is fine. I don't really care that it's getting a worse reload. That makes perfect sense to me. The rotation speed is getting better, so it's actually getting better traverse, which it also needs. So that's excellent. And its power to weight is, oh well, it's getting actually quite a bit worse. It's getting 6 worse. However, honestly, the Foch, it's a tank destroyer at the end of the day. It's already insanely fast, so I think the fact that it has gear oil as well. So that power to weight ratio nerf, I think that's not, it's going to get canceled out by gear oil, no? Like, that's my personal take on it. So I don't think that really matters too much. And its view range, oh no, it's getting 10 or worse. How dare they? In terms of its armor, wow, it's actually getting stronger on the hatch. By quite a bit. Oh my god, what are they doing to the hatch? 200 to 245 in the center, 180 to 200 on the upper part there, and they're buffing the upper plate as well. 180, they're giving it 20 more millimeters of upper plate armor, and they are reducing the lower plate armor. Okay, so honestly, the Foch's armor might actually work frontally after the update. We will have to see. I think the Foch is going to get another review on my channel after that. Anyways, let's break into the Chinese tank changes here. And starting off with the main one that everyone is probably looking at here, the WZ-113 GFT. Its engine power is getting reduced by quite a bit, almost 100. So that means it's going to be overall a slower tank. Its reload time is getting worse, so less DPM. Its rotation speed is getting a lot worse as well, so it's going to be basically slower overall, less DPM, and its alpha damage is getting 10 better, so that's not really going to change anything. And they are removing the reactive armor consumable, so honestly, I think this tank is going to be in a fine place after the update. I think all of these changes are pretty good. I don't really understand the alpha damage change, but again, this is wargaming we're talking about, and they like to just chuck numbers around. So, I mean, it is what it is. Honestly, I think the WZ is going to be a pretty balanced tank after the update, especially with the addition of them removing the reactive armor consumable. That's the main thing I'm happy about. So, next up, the 5A. It's getting 50 more HP. Oh boy, incredible stuff right there. Its dispersion is getting better as well. It doesn't really need more dispersion. This tank needs more pen wargaming, but okay. Its power to weight ratio is getting worse. Don't understand that either. And its hull traverse rotation is getting quite a little bit better. Not quite a bit better. It's getting a little better. So, I mean, a little bit of a change to the 5A. It's not really going to do a whole lot in the long run, though. So let's move on to the 113. And the 113's power to weight ratio is getting worse, but its max health is going up by 100. So kind of a pointless change there, in my opinion. They're not doing anything to its gun, so... oh well, it is what it is. The WZ-132-1, let's see what they're doing to this tank. So they are, in fact, reducing its pen, which is a weird change. They're reducing it by 2. Okay, weird. And more than 2 on its standard shells. Its view range is getting 10 better. Okay, interesting. So 280 view range base seems to be pretty good, I guess. Its reload time is getting a lot better, half a second better, so that's really, really nice. And its reverse speed is going from 20 to 24. As well, it's getting gear oil. Oh my god. Yo, the WZ is going to be kind of cooking next update, I'm not going to lie. That mobility is going to be absolutely insane, as well as it having more DPM. Yeah, this tank actually might be really, really strong next update. I'm kind of happy about those changes, actually. I think it's good to get this tank in the meta, or at the top of the meta, at least. Anyways, the 121, it's getting a reload and nerf, so it's getting less DPM. It's getting a rotation speed nerf on its turret slightly. That's not really going to change anything. And its power to weight is getting slightly worse, but it is getting reactive armor. Oh boy. So what is that? Number 4 for medium tanks getting reactive armor? Number 3? I don't even know. I've lost track at this point, Wargaming. You guys are adding reactive armor to literally every single medium tank in the whole game. Wow. Okay. Interesting stuff. I mean, I guess that is honestly going to help. Well, I don't know if it's going to reduce turbo battles, but I mean, medium tanks are definitely going to stay alive longer, I'll tell you that. Let's move on to the next set of Chinese changes here. The 121B is getting more HP by a little bit, 50 HP more. It's getting a better power to weight ratio, and its armor is getting a lot better. It's basically becoming the 62A in terms of its armor profile, because the 62A right now has about 250 millimeters of turret armor and around about 130 on the upper plate, if I am not mistaken. So honestly, the 121B with those changes is just going to be a better 62A after the update. There's not much else to say about that. The 114 SP2 is getting some completely redundant changes here. It's getting, oh boy, 10 millimeters more on the side part of its turret. Okay. It's not going to do a whole lot. And it's getting 10 millimeters more on the part, the cheeks, basically. That's it. That's all they're doing to the 114. They're not improving its accuracy. They're not giving it some random weird consumable. All they're doing is giving it slightly more armor. Interesting. Well, that's enough of the Chinese changes. Let's move on to the British tanks. Starting off with the almighty, all cringe 183 here. And I can see just by this first part, its shell velocity is getting worse, which means it's going to be harder to hit people who are moving in your 183. So it's going to be harder to hit light tanks and stuff, which I guess is good. And they're actually nerfing it by a decent amount on the standard ammo, at least. So I guess that's okay. Its aim time is getting a lot worse. Oh my god, it's almost getting a second worse. That is amazing. I'm so glad they are making its aim time that much worse. And its dispersion, it's getting also a little bit better. I don't really care about that because its aim time is getting so much worse. So honestly, okay changes to the 183. I mean, they could nerf it more. I wouldn't care if they did. So, oh well, it is what it is. They are, in fact, nerfing the 4005 as well. Its aim time is getting worse. Its view range is getting 10 worse, which is not going to change anything. And whatever the scatter factor of the gun, basically, I think its bloom while you're rotating the turret is getting worse. So, basically, on-movement dispersion, as far as I know. But again, correct me if I'm wrong. I could be super wrong this whole video, and you guys will all be, like, malding in the chat about, like, why I'm just calling it on movement dispersion if it's not. But anyways, whatever. 4005 is getting nerfed a little bit at the end of the day. It is what it is. They're not really nerfing it too badly, so I think it's still going to be pretty solid. The Badger is getting more forward speed by 2, so not really much of a change there. Its overall terrain crossing capacity is getting a lot better on hard terrain. It's staying the same on medium terrain, and on soft terrain it's getting 2 better, so okay, interesting. Its rotation speed is getting a lot worse, though. That's going to hurt the Badger, actually. And its view range is getting 10 worse. Who cares? The 215B here is getting 5 more view range. Why are they doing this? What's the point of giving this tank 5 more view range? That's really going to help Wargaming. Yeah. 50 more HP, and its aim time is getting worse. Okay. I don't know what to say about those. That's some pretty strange changes right there for the 215B. Let's move on to the second half of the changes for Britain. The 4202 is getting better aim time on the Hesh gun, I'm pretty sure. And it's also getting... wait, is this the Hesh gun? The L7A1. I'm pretty sure that's the Hesh gun. I could be wrong, though. If it's not, then correct me. Oh, well. It's also getting more HP by 50, and it's getting different penetration numbers. Basically, oh, this is not the Hesh gun. This is the standard gun, so the heat firing gun. It's getting basically worse pen on its standard. Okay. I don't understand that at all. But, oh well, it is what it is. It's not really going to change much with the tank, especially because that's just the standard heat gun. So... moving on to the Vickers, it's gaining 50 HP. This tank really needs a buff, so I hope they change something good about it. Oh, yes, they're giving it better reload, finally. They are, in fact... ooh, wait a minute. What are they doing to the alpha damage? It's going from 260 to 350. And then it's going to 390. Wait a minute. It's penetration. Are they giving it Hesh? Like, full-on Hesh? Or what are they doing with its pen? That is really weird. Oh, yeah, there they are. Okay, so it's actually getting Hesh. Okay, so the Vickers Light is going to be a Hesh-firing gun after the update. That's going to be really interesting, especially for a light tank. Honestly, I mean, the tank is already useless as it is, so them changing it like this is actually just going to make it more interesting to play. I think it's going to make the tank a bit better, in my opinion, and it's really unique. So, honestly, out of all the light tanks, I'm glad they're testing it on the most useless one, the Vickers. Yeah. And its reload, like I said, it's getting better. Power to weight is getting a lot better. Aim time is getting better. A lot of stuff on this tank is getting better, minus the dispersion. It's getting slightly worse, but that's okay. And, yeah, so honestly, very interesting changes to the Vickers there. I'm looking forward to seeing how that's going to pan out in the next update. The Super Conch next up, of course, its aim time is getting worse by a decent amount, half a second worse. Its dispersion is getting a little bit worse as well after firing the gun. The reverse speed is getting worse as well. Its reload time is getting a bit better, and its dispersion is getting a bit better as well. It's getting reactive armor. So, wow, another tank with reactive armor. Basically, half of Tier 10 is going to have reactive armor after the update, guys. Don't really know what to say about that. But Super Conch, I think it's going to overall get a little bit stronger, even though you can see here a lot of the stuff about its gun is getting worse. Yeah. But anyways, reactive armor is just so stupid on a tank like this. It really doesn't need it. Moving on to the Chieftain Mark 6. I'm pretty sure these changes were leaked. Yes, it is the Hesh change that is actually happening. Oh boy, so it's basically going to be a Hesh firing gun after the update, which is going to be very, very weird. I don't know why they didn't just make it a second gun option on the tank. That would have been so, so nice instead of them ruining the already good gun on it. Its rotation speed is getting worse. Its aim time is getting worse. Its dispersion is getting worse while the turret is being rotated. Oh boy. So yeah, I mean, this tank's basically going to be an inaccurate firing or Hesh firing gun. And it's getting tungsten shells and gear oil because, you know, it definitely needs tungsten when it already has 470 alpha with its Hesh shells. So, yeah, interesting stuff there. It's keeping the same DPM, though. So, yeah, okay. Interesting. I'm really kind of sad about that. I liked the Chieftain Mark 6 the way it was. And I mean, you can see here 786 people also don't like those balance changes. So, I mean, whatever. Let's move on to the Russian tanks here. Correcting some mistakes. Oh, wait a minute. Vickers shot dispersion. Should be replace gold shell. Oh, okay. I mean, they're just... Okay, whatever. Anyways, let's move on to the Russian tanks. Sorry, guys, this video is going to be kind of all over the place. I'm doing this in one take, so I don't really care about if I mess up a little bit, because it is just my first impressions at the end of the day. But anyways, moving on to the Russian tanks, we have the Object 260 here. It is getting basically better dispersion. Okay. It's getting worse penetration by 10, excuse me. And it's getting worse rotation speed. So they're kind of nerfing the Object 268 in a way. But they're not really changing anything about its camo rating, which makes it super strong to begin with. So I don't really think it's going to change all too much. The Object 260, a tank I literally just did a review on yesterday. It's getting worse dispersion. It's getting a lot worse turret rotation speed. Oh my god, why are they doing that? I loved the turret rotation speed on this tank, actually. It is getting a slightly better reload time, and bro, why are they giving it combat stabilization? Okay. That's like one of the most useless changes I've ever seen in my life. Why are they giving a tank that's super mobile combat stabilization? For any of you who don't know what that is, that basically only affects you when you go below 15 kilometers an hour. It makes your dispersion not bloom. But on a tank that goes 50, and it's literally a heavium, why would you add that? That's not going to help you in any way. Anyways, moving on. The 140 is getting 310 alpha, so they're buffing the alpha finally on this thing. Its penetration is getting better, so that's also very good. Its dispersion is getting quite a bit better, 0.307. Okay, interesting. It's getting a very, very slight aim time nerf of 0.1 seconds, and its reload is getting slightly worse as well. So, I mean, they're kind of just converting it back to more of a medium tank, I guess, in terms of its gun being higher alpha damage and better pen. Okay, interesting. Not really that useful, though, but whatever. And the 268 version 4 is getting 5 millimeters more on its standard pen. Oh, wow. That's really going to change the tank, guys. All right, next up, we have the next set of Russian changes here. The Object 907, another tank I did a review on recently. Its power to weight is getting better. Its view range is getting better. Its reload time is getting slightly worse. And its rotation speed is getting slightly worse as well. So overall, I mean, they're not really doing too much to the tank other than reducing its DPM a bit. The T100LT, though, that is getting a big reload buff. Wow, almost half a second off its reload. That's huge. Its penetration is actually getting better, even though it already has decent pen with its AP standard and premium shells. But, okay. That's cool. Honestly, I'm fine with that. Its power to weight is also getting better, so it's going to be faster, and its dispersion is going to be slightly worse. So overall, a big buff for the T100, especially because they're basically giving some of its DPM back that it used to have, which made the tank insanely strong. So I think that tank's going to be pretty good after the update. Let's take a look at the Object 777 here. That is in Russian, but I'm going to assume that is its aim time getting worse. 4.1 seconds to 4.5. Its reload time is getting better, though, so it's going to get more DPM for whatever reason. And its overall terrain crossing capacity is getting slightly better, I guess. Okay, on standard terrain or hard terrain. Interesting. Kind of pointless there, but whatever. The 62A, they are giving this thing a worse reload, so less DPM. They are making its shell speed, oh my god, it's going to have horrible shell velocity on its standard shells after the update. Okay, I don't really understand why they're nerfing that. But it's getting improved engine power boost consumable, so it's getting the super speed boost consumable. Okay, don't really understand why that's getting that, but again, Wargaming, like I said, like 5 or 6 times already, they're just chucking consumables around as they do. Here's the IS-7, we have a penetration decrease. Okay, on its standard shells it looks like. Interesting. Its max forward speed is getting slightly worse. I don't know why they're doing that. That's not really going to do much to the tank. And its reload time, oh, it's getting a little bit better. Okay. And its armor is getting slightly worse on the lower plate, which is going to change absolutely nothing because the tank already has a decently weak lower plate. It's sometimes troll, so I guess they're just removing that troll factor about it, but whatever, its side armor is still stupid, so you're still going to get troll bounces with it. Kind of pointless changes. And finally, we have the last set of Russian changes here. The 263 is getting a rotation speed nerf, so a traverse speed nerf, which it definitely needs. This tank is way too fast on its traverse. Its shell speed, so its shell velocity, is getting worse. I don't know why. And it is horizontal aiming angles. So it's getting more gun arc, I guess. It's getting 1 more gun arc. Interesting. Okay. And its shell type is going from APCR standard, oh my god, yes, to AP standard. That is huge. I'm very happy that this thing is losing its APCR because it's absolutely awful. And its aim time is actually becoming a lot better. Wow, so it's going to be a snappier gun overall. Interesting changes for the 263. I'm kind of glad they're doing that, but it is what it is. It's not really going to make the thing broken at all or OP at all. It's just some different changes to it. The IS-4 is getting a big reload buff, almost half a second. Its HP is going up by 50. That's not really going to do much. Its max speed is getting better by 2. Its power to weight is also getting better, and its armor is getting better by 9. I don't know why they don't just make it 10. That number really annoys me. 149, not 150. Okay. So, I mean, the IS-4 is going to be better. That armor buff might be really beneficial to the tank, because right now the armor sucks on it. So, yeah, I'm actually looking forward to seeing if the IS-4 is actually going to be good again. And finally, we have the T-22 Medium. Yes, this tank is getting more DPM. It's getting more power to weight. It is getting, yes, tungsten shells, because, you know, the T-22 definitely needs tungsten. Oh, yes, sure does. It's getting, well, actually a decent amount worse dispersion. It's getting worse shell velocity, and it's getting whatever this scatter factor of the turret rotation gun thing. Okay, cool. Whatever. And its armor is getting better for some reason. It's getting better on the sides, the under part of its sides, the upper plate, as well as it's getting slightly worse on the lower plate. But the lower plate's so small that doesn't really matter. Anyways, so yeah, T-22 is going to be really good after the update, especially with them randomly giving it tungsten shells. Now, let's take a look at the European changes. These are where a lot of people have been asking me to look at these European changes, so I guess we'll see what they actually look like. The Kron is, wow, it's actually losing a ton of pen on its premium rounds. Okay, 330 to 310. It's going down by 20. Interesting. Its reload time is getting longer on the first shell, the second shell, and it's getting better on the third shell. Okay, so they're changing the way its auto reloader is going to work a little bit. Reload between the shells is getting better, though, so that's going to be nice. Its alpha damage is actually going up. Oh my gosh. Okay, so they're making it have a higher clip potential by 30. So it's going to deal 30 more damage in its clip. And they're doing whatever that scatter factor thing is, but that doesn't matter. So yeah, I mean, the Kron's going to be changed. Honestly, I think it's going to be better, even though its pen's going to be worse. The thing is still crazy good hull down, so Yeah, that's going to be really interesting, in fact. We'll see how that plays out. The Progetto is getting, it seems to be a nerf. I don't know why they're nerfing its speed. It's already pretty slow on its, at least on its power to weight there. But okay, interesting. They're reducing its max speed. Gun turn limit is, so basically its gun depression is being reduced by 1, from what it seems. The reload time is getting a lot worse on its first shell. It's getting slightly worse on its second shell, and it's staying the same on the third one. So basically, they're nerfing the overall DPM of this tank. It's gaining 100 more HP, which is going to do absolutely nothing, and its dispersion is getting slightly better, and it's getting combat stabilization. Again, why are you putting that on a medium tank? That's not going to help it whatsoever, because this tank is moving like 80% of the time. The Rhino is getting basically worse dispersion, but more HP. So, I mean, it's getting slightly worse dispersion. That's not going to do anything. The Rhino's still fine. It's in a good state right now, so I'm glad they're not just completely changing it. Again, as it's pretty good right now. The 60 TP, this thing is getting worse hull rotation speed, so it's going to be a slower tank when it comes to traverse. Its reverse speed is getting 1 worse, which is going to do absolutely nothing. Its power to weight is getting slightly better, which again isn't going to do absolutely nothing because it's not getting changed too much. And its pen on the gold shells is going to be upped by 5, which again is not going to do much. So 60 TP is basically just staying the exact same. Now, a tank I want to see is the CS63. Let's see what this sort of set of changes is going to look like for this tank. Its reload time, oh my gosh, it's getting quite a bit better. Its power to weight is getting a lot better. Well, not a lot. It's getting a little bit better. Its dispersion is also getting better. Its max speed is getting better. Its rotation speed is getting slightly worse, and it's getting the adaptive concealment mechanic. Oh my gosh. Well, the CS is going to be one of the strongest medium tanks, especially after they're giving it that mechanic. That's the mechanic, of course, that is on the WZ-132-1, which means you're only going to be getting spotted for 7 seconds, and you can see exactly who spotted you. So that's a fantastic set of changes for the CS. Yeah, we'll see how this thing plays after the update. It might be really, really strong, actually, especially with that reload time buff. I wonder what its DPM is actually going to be after the update. The STRVK, let's see what they do to this thing. They are basically giving it less power to weight for some reason. Worse aim time. Okay. Hull rotation speed is getting a little bit better. And its pen is getting 5 better on its premium shells. Okay. That is really, really pointless. I don't know why they're nerfing the power to weight and aim time on this thing. This thing should be an accurate tank. I don't understand it. It doesn't have much armor, but okay. Very weird. Now, I have been seeing this change float around recently. The VZ55 is getting a second shell. So this thing normally right now is a standard single shot gun, but they're making it an auto loader with 2 shells. So basically what they're doing is they're turning this thing into the WoTP version of the VZ. Wow, okay. I mean, seeing that change in front of my eyes right here is kind of interesting. I don't really know what to think about it. I guess it's going to make the tank more interesting. Its max forward speed is getting 2 better, not going to do much. Its alpha damage is getting reduced by 10, but it's getting an extra shell, so 460 times 2. Wow, this thing, it's actually going to deal a lot of damage in its clip. Okay, its reload time is getting a lot worse, obviously, because it's getting an extra shell. Its penetration is getting slightly worse on its premium rounds, as well as its standard rounds, but that's not really going to do a whole lot. 5mm worse is not terrible. And its reload between shells is going to be 4 seconds. So honestly, we'll see what happens with the VZ. It's not going to be like an OP yo where it can dump its whole clip like instantly. You're actually going to have to play a little bit careful when it comes to dumping the shells, because a 4-second interclip is decently long. It's like you're playing a 7.52. So honestly, I think the VZ is going to be crazy strong, but I think that I'm glad they didn't give it like a crazy good shell reload between its shells. Like, I'm glad they didn't make it like 2 seconds or something stupid. But anyways, we'll see how the VZ plays. That's going to be an interesting set of changes to that tank. The TVP is getting an alpha damage buff, so its whole clip is going to deal more damage, but it is getting a slightly worse overall reload time. So we'll see. It's basically getting 40 more alpha in its clip, so interesting stuff there. The Caro 45 ton is getting a nerf from what I've seen, so it's getting a worse Shell 2 reload time. It's getting a worse Shell 3 reload time, and the Shell 4 and Shell 1 is staying the same. So it's just its middle two shells that are changing very slightly, though. So I don't think it's going to do a whole lot there. Its penetration on the gold shells is getting 10 millimeters worse, which kind of sucks. I don't know why they're doing that. Its basically, its gun depression is getting worse by 1 as well, which really sucks. Its HP is getting a bit better, though. It's getting gun power provision. What is that? Okay. I'm assuming that means gunpowder, not gun power, but okay. Thanks for the typo. And it's getting gear oil. So actually, it's going to become faster by 4 kilometers an hour forwards, and it's getting a faster reverse speed, technically. So, interesting set of changes to the Caro. They're not really doing a whole lot to it, other than making it faster, but they're giving it a bit less DPM on its middle shells there. So, oh well. It is what it is. And I think that's about it for the changes. So, yeah. Oh yeah, the 777, yeah, it was aim time. The Russian thing was actually aim time, so I was right. But anyways, those are all the balance changes. Final thoughts. I really can't give any until they actually get implemented into the game and where I can actually test them myself. But a lot of them just seem really pointless. I don't understand why, again, I'm going to say this for the 7th time. I don't know why they're just slapping random consumables on random tanks. They're doing a lot of pointless changes by basically reverting tanks to what they were currently in previous updates, which makes no sense. Like, why are they nerfing the 30B basically back to what it was? But then giving it random things like reticle calibration. Like, Spaliner makes sense in a way. I'm kind of glad they're doing that, but I mean, overall, very interesting changes. Some of them I actually do like. I'm glad they're changing some tanks that definitely did need nerfs, like the 113 GFT. I'm glad they're removing reactive armor from that thing. I'm glad they're changing the bat chat a little bit. I'm glad they're buffing the Foch. Yeah, so I mean, not all the changes are bad, but there are a lot of just really random ones that I don't see much point to. So again, we'll have to wait and see what the new season brings. And yeah, for any of you out there who are not yet subscribed to my channel, I highly recommend you do so, as it's a fantastic way to support content like this and more, and stay up to date when I post videos almost daily. Also, please let me know what you think of these changes down below in the comments. Do you agree with these changes? Do you disagree? Which it seems like a lot of people do. But yeah, anyways, I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.